Hi everyone. So today we will be implementing authentication system with JWT, and these are the features we will be implementing. Now we may implement even more features in the future to the same authentication system to make it like production ready. So usually these are all the features you will need. So this is a complete in-depth tutorial of all the features you might need. Now we'll even add a few more features like you forgot your password, which is not mentioned here. Forget password, so on and so forth. So clearly, and this tutorial will be one-to-one. Like we are not going to, it's not pre-planned. Everything is going to be live. I have not pre-planned all the instructions or everything which needs to be told to you. I am going to do it live with you. It's also my first time, first take. Though I have implemented authentication systems before. Now let's just npm init-y, and then we will also install Express and JSON web token. Once these are done, we will install a few more dependencies. So first will be TypeScript, then we need to install add types for Express because Express does not comes with type inbuilt, and then we need to run a command npx tsc -- init to initialize TypeScript. That's done. And now what we can do is we can also install npmi ts node dev-d, and we can also open the code editor. We will make a new source directory, source index.ts, and then we will import Express from Express const app equals to Express and app.listen 3000. So port is running on 3000. Now let's, and then we'll also add app.get, which will be based on the request response. So this is the request, this is the response, and as dot send hello world. Now this is done. Now we need to go to this package here, and then we need to start ts node there, and then this is the command which we need. So respawn when file changes transpile only. It's a faster feature of TypeScript. And then let's just try to node source npm start. Sorry, if it works, it is working. And if you go to localhost 3000, here is the hello world. Now also add a .env file, and then we will also need to install package npm i.env and npm i add type/.env. Both are done. Now let's import log from .env, and then .env.config. You can see load the env file contents into the process.env by default. Then we can mention port equals to 3000, and then we can replace it by process dot env dot port, and then we can copy this and process.env dot port. Sure. Now we will need to restart our application, and it is running on port 3000 perfectly fine. Now we'll do, we will start with JSON Web Token. Okay, sure. So we need to have a few things. So one of the things is we need to have a database. Here we can use SQLite DB also, but you can use your own DB whenever required, or whatever is required. MongoDB or Postgres, we can, I think here we can use SQLite DB. And then we will need to install the JSON Web Token package. Sure, and let's just try to use the Prisma ORM. Prisma SQLite. So this is done, our part. So now we need to install the Prisma as dev dependency. Let's do it quickly. Now we need to do npx Prisma init, initialize the Prisma with data source as SQLite and output in generated Prisma. And configure the SQLite as a database. You are now ready to model your data and create a database with some tables. Sure, so let's just copy this command. And then now let's see our code base. Here is the schema.prisma file. For best results, make sure that you added a line into .getignore in order to exclude the generated client from your application. In this example, we want to exclude the generated Prisma directory. Sure, so we'll just add it in our generated Prisma to getignore, but we don't have getignore right now, so we can ignore it. And now we can model our user. So model user, it can have a name, which can be a string. It is definitely required. And we can also have an ID, which is, I guess, int, and this can be the one. It's an identification number. So primary key by default, and default value is an auto increment. So it starts like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. It will have an email show, password show, and then we can have a created on, and it can be a date, time, and default is set to now. So by default it will set to whenever the created on is, whenever this entry is created, and then we can updated. Instead we should have created at, actually updated at date, time, and updated at. This is a inbuilt field provided by Prisma. So that's all good. Now we can have enum status. Sure, and now in status we can have something like email verification active, suspended, or deleted. Now let's add a status of type status and defaults to email verification. So this is all good. Now once it is all done, we can migrate with Prisma, and here we are using npx migrate dev, which means in dev environment, and the name of the migration is initialization, which is short form to init. So this is done now. You can see here. And now it created a new SQL migration file under the Prisma migration directory. It executed the migration. It ran Prisma generate. Because the SQLite data file does not exist before, the command also creates a new SQL file or a database file with the name dev.db as defined in the environment variable in .env file. So if you check .env file, here is a database URL automatically added by Prisma. So now let's just start querying the Prisma with, create APIs and all that. So let's just, by the way, let me just open up the Express documentation. Now let's go to basic routing. We don't want this, so what I want is, nope. We can, okay, sure, we can also go with error handling right now. I don't think we need that either right now, because this is not what I was looking for in error handling. And world express generator, no, not required. Guide routing, we can use it writing middleware, using middleware, overriding the express API. Sure, so let's go with routing. Let's see what have they got here. Do they have got the routing, a documentation for routing in another file? I know how to do it, but let's just go with the documentation. Okay, not this one. Yes, this is the type of routing which I was expecting to see, basically. Now what we will do is we will add another file, auth router.ts. Sure, and then we can import the express, and then do have express and then router. Sure. So what we're going to do, import router from express, and then we can make the router, and then router dot get. Let's not do with get, let's start with post, and this is to sign up, and we respond with rest dot send API to for signing up a user. Sure, this works. And then what we can do here is app.use. We have to use the express JSON above, app.use express JSON. Sure, and then rest.json message welcome to the API. Let's see. Sure, this works. And then app.use /auth 2, and then we also need to export this constructor. So export router. Okay, this needs to be default export default router, and then we can import auth router from auth router, and then we can just say auth router here. And then if we can open up a Postman, and then workspaces, create workspace, blank workspace, name is auth backend. Give me a second. Yeah, so we have to use the Postman to send the API requests. So let's start with that. So okay, let's make it public. Auth backend create. You should not make it public. I'm making HTTP, and then we can change it to post. Name can be, okay, we need to save it. Request name sign up, and then new collection can be renamed as auth, and then we'll go to environment, create an environment, can be dev. Then here we can add a base underscore URL, which is going to be localhost 3000. And now we used, okay, we need to select the environment dev base underscore URL / sign up and a post request, and here we go, and it gives a fuzzy phone number. Okay, let's see, router.post /auth. Okay, so this should be /auth /sign up. Sure, here we get a response, and then we need to get proper, data like a name, a username. We need all that from the request. So let's just console log request.body, and then body we will send the data raw JSON. Let's send name Singh, email test@gmail.com. Done. Let's see what was console logged here. You can see we got the data. Now what we can do is we can use libraries to verify the data we got. So we can use libraries like yup or Zod. So let's use yup. So express yup validation, schema validation with yup and express. And then we can go down. Okay, definitely we need to install yup. So npm I yup. This is a validation library. So now we can use a middleware to verify things, right? But I don't want to make it that complex right now. I will just verify it here in the what we say request itself. So let's just do that. But in real life we need to verify it using middleware, because it makes the code really reusable. Clearly they have made a validate middleware, and then they are using the validate middleware. Sure. Okay, let's just take the better route. Let's just use the middleware. So let's see express middleware. Okay, and then using middleware. Sure. And yeah, here we are. Let's just see how they did it at the end. So this is the link schema which they have, and then they are passing it as a middleware. In the middleware they're passing the validate link schema, and then they have this link schema, and this is the middleware function which they have. So for middleware function we have request response and next object. Let's just create a new file, middlewares.ts. We can have multiple middlewares here. So const validate middleware response request response.next, and then what we do is we always call the next, always, because only once we call the next it's going to go to the next middleware in the chain, or else it will go to the request or the function body, router body, which is right here. Only once you call next it will come up here. If you don't call it, it won't go there. And then once the next is executed, it will come back to this here, this line. Now you can see here we have this const validate also takes a schema and then uses the async request response and next object. But here you can see it's just they are using app.use with request response and next object. So there is a difference. This is a wrapper function, I believe. So this wrapper function, validate function, is wrapping this middleware function. So we will also use something similar. So we will require a schema. Sure. And then we need to const, not schema.validate exactly. We also need to import the yup, I believe. So schema.validate, but where does schema come up from? Okay, the schema which we are passing, which is link schema and all that. Sure. So if there is an error, we can always throw an error, try catch. const error equal to schema.validate request.body. To make this schema validation a bit better, we can have all this like it's given here. So we can validate body, params, and query, all three. And then once we have error, we must first console.error the error, and then we can return the error itself. We can just return the message bad request. Basically the request was bad, and then it says okay, schema has implicitly type any. So we will fix this, and this request from express, response from express, and then next function from express, and then next can be used right after this is done, right? Yes. So once this is done, we can return the next. So we can return next, and this is done. And now we need to give the proper type for the schema, which we will give in some time. Now let's just create the schema first here. So we can do const. We can also make these schemas in a different file, but I believe it's fine for now. We need to import from here, and we can do yup.object.shape, and then we can have email. Yup is string, is email is required. Password yup is string, minimum of 8 characters required. Name yup is string, minimum of 3 characters, maximum 50 characters. We can reduce it to maybe 20, and this is also required. So these are the minimum 3 fields which we are taking right now. This password validation can be made even better with a lot of requirements, but for now good enough. Now let's see what we can do here. Now we need to pass the validate middleware here. We can pass it right here by calling validate middleware, and we have to pass the schema, which is sign up schema, and it says okay, no overloads match this call. Clearly there is some issue with our code here. Let's see how they have done it, and they have done a similar thing. Then this might be because of the type issue. Let's see what is the type of yup.object. So object create returns an object schema. First let's just try giving it any type. Let's see, this error is gone, but here it still remains. So validate no overload match this call, and then there is some issue. So export const middleware validate middleware, and it takes a schema of type any, and then this is a higher order function. Strange. Okay, one more thing you can see. Okay, my bad here. Schema. This needs to be of type object schema from yup, by the way. Okay, maybe not exactly. Then what is its schema type? yup.object.shape. What does this return? Default from shape. Okay, so you're just using yup.object. Okay, I get this. I get the issue. So they are not using .shape. They are directly using the object, and that is also fine. But let's just see what is the difference between yup.object and yup.shape. So yup.object versus shape. So this is our question, basically passing the schema to shape, just the long form of passing it to the object constructor. Shape does, however, offer the benefit of changing and overriding definitions. Let us change the methods. Okay, now let's just, take this object and do it the object way. Object, and then we need to pass the body and all. So this needs to be in the body, because here in validate middleware we have sent it in a since body params and query. So this needs to be in the body, and body is object, and this can be enclosed. We can cut this, paste it in here. Okay, this is good. And then we need to see why this is not working exactly. So we have a function const validate schema, async request response next, good. And then we try to await the schema.validate function. More logic goes here. Now in middleware function, we just turn it to any. Okay, this might be the type. So object schema of any. Is this the correct type? Yes. So you can see validate is a promise. So we need to await it. Then this needs to become async, and then this should throw the error, I believe. This will throw the error if there is any. And then we need to fix this issue, which is router.post. So we have a my function looks exactly similar to how they have done it, but still it looks like it's not working properly. So argument of type request response next function, promise void is not assignable to the parameter, request handler params. Let's see this article, how they do it. Yeah, they use the user schema, the validate function, they pass the schema, about early is false, validate the request body, next catch the error, integrate validation in routes, show validate and validate the user schema. I'm not sure why it's not working properly, because clearly it is the same function. Proceed to the next middleware route. Sure. and then bring in app.post. We have router.post. First is this part. Okay, let's try with their function. If I just copy their function, does it still give me the same error? So I will just paste their function here. Export schema, yeah. Here it is, validate. Doesn't give me the error anymore. Okay, now let's see. Export const validate middleware equal to schema. Similar. Is it because of this thing that we need to give request.body? Request.body. Okay, we need to close this and we need to import the other middleware. Not this way, mister. Still same issue. Let's see, ask JWT. Let's see what JWT says to me. Great question. Promise. It returns from and express. Okay, is it because that I am returning or something? Clearly not. Okay, so I got the issue. What the issue was? Okay, so I got the issue why this function validate middleware was not working. I did some ChatGPT and used some my skills and found out that okay, the issue was that it is returning a promise. Okay, like what we were doing return next. But there is no return. Like there was nothing here. So it said the last overload, it said it should return promise of void response array is not assignable to parameter request to handle params. So basically we are not returning type, we are returning type void, but we are expecting type void response of any or record of string any. So that was the issue here. Now if I change it to type any, this would work perfectly fine. And then also I switched it out. We don't need a body and a string params and other type of validation. Just to keep it simple, I removed that also. And then we can either keep it to any, or we can just say promise of any type. So usually it's not recommended to use any type, but we can use it here. Or we can just not return anything and just say promise of what. But okay, this may return an issue. So response show. Then let's just keep it at any. But we can have two things, like whether this is a next function and this is a response. So we can return one of those two things. But like we are returning one of those two things. We can do that way, but let's just keep it like this. Now let's just start send a request. Connection is refused. Okay, there is still some error. Cannot read properties of undefined reading object. Okay, sure. And we are doing this as at authrouter.ts line number 726. Line number 726. Yup. Dot object. Strange. Exactly what I was thinking. It is import star as yup from yup. And now let's end this request, error bad request. But it doesn't really tell what is the bad request. Let's fix that. We got the error, and then it said password is a required field. So so we can return, instead of a bad message we can do error dot errors of 0. Let's see if this works. Password is a required field. So it is giving me some issues. Okay, we can error is of type any. Let's see, will this work? Property error does not exist on type this. And what if I do say, okay, say it does exist, this does exist. I guess we can keep it like this and not just waste our time on this thing, because usually it is an headache. TypeScript itself is an headache, and we can ignore it like this. Or there are ways to work around this. As far as I know, I think we can use this thing errors, or we can make it of type any here also. This will also help. Now if you want the correct type, we can have the validate error type also, but let's just ignore that for now. Let's keep it any. So now once it has come, it comes up here. We have the body. Now what we need to do is we need to hash the password. So let's install a library called Argon for password hashing. npm I argon2. And now let's see the argon2 docs. Argon2 npm. Hi, so I'm back. Let's pick up from where we left. So we were at organ 2. Let's take this and then we'll do the hashing const hash equal to organ 2 dot hash request dot body dot password. Let's just take it out. And then we can have it here. Then let's go to the quick starter of Prisma. Then we need to generate the download Prisma client. And then we can import the Prisma client, generate and create a new instance of it. Let's do that. There's no exported member Prisma client. Did we not just install it right now? Okay, it might be just that it's a JavaScript module. Let's see, Prisma client npm. Taking some time to open up. Nope, it is TypeScript client, so definitely not the issue. Prisma.client.default. Let's see what this says. It ran Prisma generator under the hood, which installed the add Prisma client package and generated a tailored schema. Explore how to send queries to your database with the Prisma client. Install it. Prisma equal to new Prisma client. Okay, but we definitely had some issue at some point. So generated Prisma. Let's check on internet. Module Prisma.client has no exported member Prisma client. So it says npx Prisma migrate dev, which we already did, but we can try regenerating the types. Might help, not sure. Let's see. Did not help clearly. Let's see, do we have that Prisma client default at Prisma at client, and do we have a default? Okay, we do have a default. Dot Prisma client default. Okay, I got the issue. It might be because of the generator client. So generator is in dash generator.prisma, but what it is doing is Prisma client default. So let's see what is it. Generator client output to node Prisma client. Let's try this and then do npx Prisma generate. Does this solve it? No. Okay, it does. Okay, it does solve it. we can delete this folder then. And now we can do is we can do user equal to, we can make this function an async function, await prisma dot user dot create, give the data as email, password is set to hash. Okay, so promise, type promise of a string, so we need to await it because hashing takes time. And then we can console, we can return the user, return user. This works great. And okay, it says okay, we have not defined a return statement, so we can do with return any, I believe, for now. Later we can generate a better return type, or what we can do is we can do promise of user. Then what does this return? Clearly, then if we return user, it says, yeah, exactly, the user. Then it says okay, I got the issue because it responds not JSON. We can remove it all together. And then we can spread the user here. This will work. And then if we send the request, okay, we need a password. Test 1 2 3 4. If we send a 7-digit password, it will give error. 8-digit works fine. You can see created a new user, all that stuff. You can see also we are sending the hash password which we should not send. We'll fix that all. Let's run the Prisma Studio here first. You can see right here we have a new user, and now we can also delete user.password. The operand of a delete operator must be optional. So does it mean this? No. The operand of a delete operator must be optional. I don't exactly get what it's trying to say here. Exactly the same issue which we've got into deleting user.password. What is the solution then? Clearly not our solution. So I got a call right now. Now it said what we have to do is basically we can do if we can do this. If bank of user, then we need to throw an error also, by the way. So let's just take care of that. User not created. Let's just say internal server error with a request code of 500. And well, I don't understand the logic of this, why we have to do this, but then it is optional. What does that mean? Okay, I get it. So it says that this should be an optional property, but this is not an optional property in the user. We can't do that. What we can do is, I think we can set the password to null here, basically undefined, and then it will automatically get removed. Didn't get removed clearly. Okay, so email failed on the fields email, so email must be unique because of this constraint. Let's change the email first. You can see, so it got removed automatically because we set it to undefined. And now what it says, no overload match. I don't know what it wants all the time, like quite a pain. And now we need to have better error handling. We should not just crash it. So what we are going to do is we can use here app.use, and then we know that if the code came till here, we know that okay, something went wrong and we need to send an error back. So if we send again, it won't really crash, it will just send an error back. So we can have better types here, but let's just ignore that for now. Error and internal server error is fine. Now right here, let's just have better error handling. Okay, so clearly it's throwing an error and we are not catching it. We will have to catch the error for better error handling and show that the email was already registered. And let's just, what we can do is we won't return anything here, and let's wrap this in a try catch. So clearly, if error code is P2002, which is a conflict error in Prisma, it's already defined here, P2002 Prisma. Unique constraint failed. Okay. See, unique constraint failed on the constraint. So we can use that, and we know that unique constraint is only going to fail on email. We can do that, and then let's just do this. We don't need to return anything, we can just do, and then error.code, error is of type unknown. Let's give it the proper type of any. Perfect type. And email already exists. Now proper email errors, status error show, and you can also see the status is set to 400 by request here. Works perfectly fine. Cannot find user name user show, because now it is inside of just this block. So let's do user of type user, and this can be done to fix the issue. variable user is used before being assigned. Okay, but it's not being used before it's assigned. It's being assigned here, or maybe it might be because it's not, it considers that this is not being assigned at all, but we can just switch it to here and this should also work fine. Make it back to const. So if it doesn't throw error, it is going to return it. Now that should be good for creating a user. Now we need to also generate the tokens. So okay, for that we will need to keep it outside of the scope of the try user. So like we will need it out of the scope of try. So keep it here. Let user on null and be user. User can be null, but okay, I will add a user. User creation failed. Okay, by chance it's null, though it should not be null. Actually, never ever should be. Variable user is used before being assigned. Okay, let me just assign it to null by default, and it can also be of type null. Now if it is null, then we return okay, user creation failed. Not sure for some what reason, though it would not come this far, it will only fail in this step itself, just to make the TypeScript happy. Now what we can do is const active. Okay, we can make a new function. Doesn't need to be a router function, so let's make utils.ts function generate active and refresh tokens, and then what we need is user ID. User ID, and we are good to go. And this is of type user ID is of type number, and then we will import JSON web token from JSON web token, and let's just go to the JSON web token library. And let's go down to here, and we need to sign the JWT. So const active token is sure. Let me just do it myself. JSON web token dot sign. Okay, is this not a TypeScript code? No. So let me just also install the types for it. npmi add types JSON web token #t. Done. And then sign up. Sign. And then we need to give the user ID, which is the payload. Then you can see here we need to give the payload, then secret or private key. Let's just give it super secret key. We will move it to in the variable very soon, and then we can give the other options, which is it will expire in 15 minutes, and maybe some other options as well. Let's see what are algorithms, audience, encoding, header, issuer, JWT ID. We are the issuer, audience is our user, so we can just leave it for now, not required. And so this returns a string, this doesn't return a promise. Now we can do the same for refresh token const refresh token So refresh token is for way longer time compared to the active token. So even if the active token expires, the user can use the refresh token to get the data. And then we can do super secret key, and then expires in 7 days. And then we can call return active token refresh token, and let's just give it the return type active token string. This is the return type for both, and export function. Now const active token and refresh token needs to be received from here, and then user dot id needs to be sent here. It will generate the tokens for us. Let's see why it's giving the error. Cannot find name generate active and refresh token. We need to import it from utils. User is possibly null, which is not possible, because if it is null, it would be taken care of here. So this can never be null. So we will just use it. Well, this is not possible actually. How do I force it? So I will just ask JWT on line 54. User can't be null. So fix that. Let's see if it fixes it. Okay, it's saying that okay, we need to return, but if we return, will this error go away? Clearly not, it's still there. Add a return statements. Okay, we need to add the return statements to make sure the function exits, which is pretty logical, and I did not take care of that. Sure, let's just add return statement everywhere, return, and then a return here also. Response.status, we can add a return here. It can return a type of any, a promise of any actually, not exactly any, promise of type any, and it still has the issue, which is quite strange. You can ask still same issue. So these are the problems which I usually face with TypeScript. It just thinks that okay, some things are going to be undefined, which are clearly not going to be undefined. Okay, so this is other issue. So if I remove the return, will this fix it? Okay, no, clearly. So let's just fix it by saying it's a number, and it needs object, so we provide it as object. That is done. And now what we can also do is active token, refresh token. So whenever user signs up, it gets an active token and a refresh token immediately. Sure, we get this here. Now this active token can also be set as a cookie, and refresh token can be set in the local storage. That is also one possible way to do it. I think which is like a better approach. But let's just keep it right now the way it is. And then, okay, so this is the now. Let's just move the secret to the environment variable. So, secret, let's do JWT secret, and we will just type some long number which is completely random, and then we will just assign it to here. Process dot env dot JWT secret and string. So making sure that like we are telling that okay, this will come up as a string. And let's restart the server and create a new user. Okay, we get that here. Good, cool. And now we will also implement sign. Router.post sign in and show this is the boilerplate we will need. And then we will need, okay, it gives all the code by default, which is really helpful. Should you use? I would say yes, but if you understand it, I clearly understand it, and I'm also going to explain you. So I think it works well for us, or at least for the reviewers of this video. Sign in schema equal to object, and then we can have email and password here, right here. So email is string, email required, password is string, minimum 8 required. We can remove this requirement from sign login. This is not required because what if someone signed earlier when this requirement was not there, talking from a point of legacy systems, or you don't want to give this error anyways, like we don't want to let any malicious user know why their password is wrong. We just need to say okay, your password is wrong, and that's it. And then we can do it validate middleware with sign in schema. Now once we know okay this is fine, then what we're going to do is const hash password await. Actually we need to get the password from, we get the user and then verify the password with the argon function which we will have. Prisma dot user dot find unique where id, where email is the given email. Okay, and then const is valid password. So also first let's just try to we can wrap this in a try catch block also. I think we should do that. But find unique doesn't throw an error because I think there is another function which you throw, find unique or throw. Yeah, exactly. Now let's just do if not of user, then we must return an error that invalid email or password, and then we check argon dot verify. We give the password which user has, which we have the hash password, and then the password which user provided. So you can see here the digest, which is the password hash, and then the password itself. It will let us know if the password is valid. If password is not valid, it will throw invalid email or password in the response. Now once that's done, we can get the active token and refresh token from this with the user ID and return user, password is set as undefined, and then active token and the refresh token. So let's add a request, post, copy this, sign in, save it, and then sign in, and we don't need the name here in this request. Send the request to sign in. Clearly taking a lot longer than it should. Clearly we are missing out something. Let's see if we have an error which will let us know a better view. Nope, we don't. Let's try restarting the server, which may fix it. Doesn't fix this error. Okay. Then let's see what the issue is exactly. So if I not given email, will it throw me the error? Yeah, email is required. We get the email and password from the body. Okay, let's see. Let's try to console log the user here and make sure we are coming up to this point and know that we do have a user here. Okay, you can see here the user is logged in here. Okay, the reason why we are not getting it because it needs to be res.json and this can, and then this needs to be enclosed like this. That is the issue. Okay, and then here we go. We are now able to sign in all as well. Okay, and then if you change a password, sign in won't work. So the error message is ambiguous enough. So this will work perfectly fine for us. Now we need to send an email verification code that okay, email needs to be verified. We have active and refresh tokens ready. So we need another API in which we send the refresh token and it sends me another set of active and refresh tokens. That is good. Forget password, check the device is logged in. This also we will do in the coming up series, but let's just in the next video cover how to send an email to the newly signed up user and make sure that the user email is verified. And then what we will do is refreshed to get a new set of active and refresh token after using a refresh token, like after the active token expires and we have to use another refresh token. So thank you.